Yo, what's good, my fellow Magic Knights? It's your boy DEADMANVINCE with the Black Clover video here, and I hope everybody's been having a good day. Hope everybody's been having a nice time on Christmas and everything. You know, Merry Christmas and all that. We already know what the question here today is. It's obvious, right? But like, Asta himself is a demon. Not Asta is possessed by Liebe and able to use demon powers, but no, Asta is literally just a demon. Why do I say that Asta is a demon? I just feel like we've seen way too many things pointing to that being the situation. Too many symbolisms and too many times that they've literally in the series in our face called this man Asta a demon, right? But we're gonna go ahead and just break down all the evidence that we have for why Asta is actually a demon, and then I'm also going to propose a theory on how Asta is a demon, like how that came to be and who his father is. And disclaimer, like, we don't know who his dad is still, if you're not caught up on the series. And also, if you're not caught up on the series, then a lot of spoilers are on the way, so I don't know why you're watching this video, but honestly, you can go ahead and just continue on if you like, if you're brave enough. The first bit of evidence that we have that Asta is a demon is the mystery behind his birth and his mom. In chapter 268, we learn some background on Asta's mom. Her name is Liebe. Her origins are unknown, and even her magic is not explicitly defined. We just know she can transfer things with no mana into other things, making them easy to transport. An example of this is when she first met Liebe, or when she first found Liebe, because Liebe had fainted from running from humans, right? So she stored Liebe in a jar with some firewood that she was carrying home because he has no mana. Liebe also has a passive trait where if anybody is near her, then she will absorb their life energy and their mana, and not just anybody, like living things in general. This is why Liebe lives out in the woods and she secluded herself from civilization pretty much. The real question is, what being was powerful enough to last long enough around Liebe to get her pregnant? And another question to think about is, how did Asta even survive inside of her when people can't even get near her, let alone touch her? The next bit of evidence that we have is the lore of Black Clover, or just the Clover Kingdom, I guess, is the only way to receive a 5-leaf grimoire is to have a 4-leaf grimoire, and then fall into despair, and then the devil takes over your grimoire. How is it that Liebe got a 5-leaf grimoire with no prior 4-leaf grimoire, and how did Asta manage to do the same thing? It's almost as if the grimoire felt an affinity with these two because of a demonic energy surrounding them. And I know what you're thinking. The Spade Kingdom already had a bunch of devil hosts. Why didn't the grimoire go there? Well, the grimoire was already in the Clover Kingdom and awaited someone who was destined for it within its own kingdom. I mean, it had clovers on the grimoire. That just kind of points to the concept of grimoires are a lot deeper than we're really like thinking about. Another bit of evidence is the fact that whenever we see Liebe, he only has 2 horns, the 2 that protrude from his temple pointing directly in front of him. But whenever him and Asta start to fuse in later chapters, we see that 2 more horns appear that come out of the crown of Asta's head, pointing towards the sky. So where are those extra horns coming from? Or let's talk about the fact that the Faust family makes contracts with devils by defeating them and pretty much forcing them into bondage. So that's the path of domination, dominating a devil and 100% taking over and making the devil your slave, basically. Then you have the Zagrata siblings, who are kind of like on the opposite end of the spectrum. They simp for like devil powers. Mainly this man Dante and Vanica, their devils kind of easily took over, and whenever those 2 died, their devils literally just like kind of like cast them aside and went on to like the next person. So those 2 didn't even have control. It was more so the devil had control of them. They just kind of like threw their humanity away, but were like really stupid about it. Then you have Xenon, who did have a lot more control. Even Lucius pointed out Xenon had a high affinity for being a devil host. Even still, he gave up his soul to the demon at the end. So I call that the path of submission. So you have 2 ends of the spectrum. The path of dominating the devils and using their power, then the path of being submissive to the devils and letting them control you so you can use all their power. Then we have the special case of Asta, who was the only devil user who allowed his devil a 50-50 contract, giving him access to perfect devil union, and a power that no other devil host has been able to showcase. The power to mentally, emotionally, and physically assimilate with the devil, maximizing the magic of both parties, which in this case is just anti-magic. This next point is more of a minor detail than anything, but in the 287th chapter, Noct talks about putting the power of 2 of his mid-grade devils together to make a supreme grade devil spell. Ultimately, this plan failed because the supreme grade spell had no effect on Nahama and Lilith, but Noct is from the Faust family, and that's a family of mages that specialize in forbidden magic and deals with devils. So it stands to reason that his theory made perfect sense if he's read up on his demons, right? So Tell me what happens when a magicless devil gets put into a grimoire that has the magical fortitude of Licht, the previous king of the elves. You know, the same elves that were loved by Mana? You get a devil that obtains anti-magic as an attribute and has a massive power reserve all of a sudden. This is only half of the equation. The other half is Asta. When Asta and Liebe do devil union, they manage to pull off more than a single supreme grade spell. They run hands with the top supreme grade devil, so what does that make Asta? So here's my theory. Asta is a demon, and his dad is Astaroth, the devil of time. Astaroth is a time devil and arguably the strongest devil, considering the fact that Lucifero was supposed to be the king of devils, but was just a pawn in Lucius's plans, who was the current user of Astaroth's power. Before being taken over by Lucius, Astaroth probably saw himself being the king of devils for the rest of time, and was honestly probably bored with his fate. Because in the underworld, we know that devils just torment each other at the lower levels. And honestly, this man, Astaroth, probably could have been the top of the hierarchy, but he erased himself from the hierarchy because he was bored with being a demon. He just didn't want to torture everybody for the rest of time and just see that for the rest of time. So he erases himself from history as a Qliphoth devil and goes to explore the human world and experience new things. This is when Astaroth ends up traveling for a little bit and meets Lisita and is intrigued by two things. The fact that Lisita is not fearful of him and is more so interested in learning about him, and the fact that she can slowly sap his magic away, kind of making Lisita an oddity in his eyes. Further evidence of this stems from the fact that when Lisita first saw Liebe, she states, just because you're a devil doesn't make you a bad person. How could you make a statement like that without first experiencing a devil who wasn't a bad person? Asta also makes this statement towards Liebe, but this is after Asta had to rely on Liebe's power time and time again. Lisita and Astaroth's feelings for each other begin to grow as they spend more time learning about each other. Astaroth and Lisita finally make love and get Lisita pregnant. Now Astaroth more than likely sees the outcome of his future with Lisita and decides to break things off because of one of two reasons. One, a lone demon hybrid would probably be tormented his entire life for being a devil, and Lisita would have received scrutiny for this as well. And two, Astaroth would have slowly lost his powers over time, considering Lisita is constantly sapping them away, and that's no good, because being ranked one of the 3 Qliphoth devils probably gives you a lot of clout in the demon world, and it's probably not the safest for you or those around you to be around you if you have no power to defend yourself or them. So to avoid Asta and Lisita being tormented by the rest of humanity or demons, he left them behind. Also, Asta being a demon would explain him surviving Lisita's womb for 9 months, constantly having his vitality and mana sapped, because what human fetus can survive something like that? None of them. After traveling even more, Astaroth finds Lucius in the Spade Kingdom. Now Lucius more than likely acted like a weakling to get close to Astaroth. If we can remember, we first hear about Lucius and all we know is he's the eldest brother of the Zagratis siblings, but we also know that he's in a wheelchair. Since Astaroth has a newfound perspective on humans, he could now view humans as people and not just something for him to toy with. And Lucius trying to deceive someone for power is not so far-fetched, considering he has a superiority complex against every other living being that exists. He says things like devils are not the most powerful being in this world, but it is humans instead who are on top. And he also deems himself as the only worthy human to rule all of humanity, or at least his new remodel of humanity known as paladins. After making contact with Astaroth, Lucifer purifies his power and pretty much forces Astaroth to make him his host. Now, even after being taken over by Lucius, Astaroth still had enough power to keep Lucius from seeing Asta in his predictions. That would explain why Lucius refers to Asta as a flaw that even he couldn't predict. Could it be that Asta was Astaroth's last line of defense against Lucius's sinister plan? Another thing to point out is that every supreme grade devil we have seen thus far has 4 horns. Lucifero, Magicula, Lucifugus, Beelzebub, Adremelech. I guess you can kind of count Lilith and Nahama because they kind of added together and made 4 horns. Wait, why does Asta have 5 horns now? 5 horns? Why does he have 3 of his own horns along with Liebe's horns? Were the 3 swords, Demon Slayer, Demon Dweller, and Demon Destroyer, a foreshadowing of Asta having 3 of his own horns? Wait a minute. Why does Lucius have antlers as his horns? His horns are sprouting into more horns. Is Astaroth and Asta's power timeless?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Okay, that was corny, I'm sorry. But let's talk more about symbolism. Lisita falling in love with Astaroth makes a lot more sense when you think about Asta's name. In Danish and Scandinavian origins, Asta's name means star-like a star because he's the hope of the peace between humans and demons. Love, he's a symbol of love between Lisita and Astaroth, and divine strength, literally power bestowed upon him by his father who has incomprehensible strength. And another thing, in the Clover Kingdom, the 3 original leaves contain good faith, hope, and love. And in the fourth leaf dwells good luck. And in the fifth leaf resides a devil. So doesn't that mean Asta had all four of those things in addition to a devil? And did we not witness his true devil power manifest once his fifth horn sprouted? So that means Asta has the potential to be more than a wizard king, but a king that is loved by all races and can make the perfect kingdom. I mean, Asta was chosen by Lick's Grimoire and fought Lick alongside Yuno, even snatching one of Lick's swords in an exchange. Which, now that I think about it, kind of reflects King Arthur in actual history, since the blades of a previous king accepted Asta as the next user and resonated with him. After that fight, Asta fights alongside Lick the Lumiere and ends up being the one to deal the final decisive blow against Zagreed, the Word Devil. Then we look at the Spade Kingdom invasion arc. When an ancient devil attacked the Clover Kingdom, Julius pulls up as a grown man again, but he's actually just trolling with Kira Damnatio's powers. Kira has scale magic and pretty much balances out Julius's magic again so that he can turn himself back into a grown man. But literally, Kira's power wears off and Julius turns back into a kid again. And as everybody in the kingdom despairs, this man Asta dashes past this man Julius, in a sense surpassing him, and even went as far as defeating the king of demons. Asta's gonna wax the king of the paladins next. That was more or less my theory right there, and all of my reasoning and evidence to it. And this right here is just more so extra thoughts, not things that I feel like are a part of my theory, but just other things that I kind of thought about when fleshing out this video. In the manga, Lysita's magic was unnamed. I'm gonna call it storage magic because she can store things without mana into other things. A lot of wizards who are super powerful have magic based off of concepts. Yuno's power is based off of the concept of stars, but not stars themselves. Because if his power was based on actual stars, it would have been sun magic just like his father, because that's all a star is. Yami has dark magic, and he's more than overwhelming as a fighter, and this man can literally slice through dimensions. And obviously we can look at this man Julius, or Astaroth I guess you can say, with his time magic. Time isn't even like a thing. Time is just a man-made concept, right? So conceptual magic is a lot stronger than like maybe like natural magic. But basically, if Asta had magic, and that's a big if, Asta had magic. So if something had changed and Asta actually had magic, I feel like Asta would have like impurity magic, right? Because the mom has storage magic and she can store things inside of other things, but she also has a passive trait where she absorbs all of the like vitality and mana around her. So Asta has a demon physiology and demon magic reserve, right? Imagine it. And he has the ability to absorb negative energy from other living beings and turn it into power for himself after storing it in his body, thus replacing the negative feelings in the others with positive emotions instead, like the hope he instills into those who watch him fight and the courage he gives his allies to fight on. Veto did call Asta a demon that even destroys despair after all. And Asta was an integral priest to breaking the curse on the entire elf race. A curse was tampered with all the elves' emotions in a resurrection spell. This all tracks with Astaroth and Lysita's magic. Astaroth provides Asta with the physiology and mana reserves of a demon, making him physically superior to humans, and the storage magic allows him to store all of the negative emotions inside of his power. And the fact that he is a demon makes him able to maintain all of the negative emotions, and he can just transmute it into energy. This fits very well with Asta's personality. Asta is somebody who understands very well the concept of Sonder, the profound feeling of realizing that everyone, including strangers passing on the street, have a life as complex as one's own, which they are constantly living despite one's personal lack of awareness of it. All this means is that everyone else sees the world from a humans must preserve their world viewpoint, while Asta sees it as the world is for everyone to equally share and enjoy viewpoint. It would make a lot of sense if Astaroth was Asta's dad, because at the end of the series, Asta would be defeating the king of the paladins, along with saving the man he respects the most, Julius, and along with saving his father's soul. Asta's determination to unite the races could be the remnants of his mom and dad's mentality. If Asta wants to unite everyone, it would be like carrying on his father's flame, after realizing other races are not lower than devils, but can live in harmony with them. Another thought that I had is, ultimately, I think Liebe is letting his devilish energy run through Asta's body and is awakening some demonic traits within Asta's body. Because if Liebe acts as like a catalyst, he can tap into some of Asta's dormant abilities. Liebe has been shown to be fatigued by being tormented by humans and even fainted from being tired, so his durability has been shown to be average. Yet when Asta and Liebe were fighting fused, their kneecaps were literally kicked in entirely. Yet Asta was back up and trying to walk into the fray a few panels afterwards, and even gained back enough energy and resolve to continue to fight. Where did this superb natural regeneration come from? Yes, this man Asta trains day in and day out, but this man Liebe doesn't train for shit, and he just lets Asta fuse with him. So it's just like, is Asta superhuman in some aspect, some capacity? And this regeneration is just due to Liebe's acting as a catalyst to push Asta to his more than supreme great powers bestowed upon him by his demon lineage. And lastly, in chapter 97, the Witch Queen mistakes Asta for being a descendant of the elves and immediately retracts that statement in chapter 97, calling Asta defective instead, saying that he has a mutation in his genetics, just some defect. Maybe the Witch Queen has a fat brain, or maybe she thought Asta was related to the elves since she has knowledge of them and knows of their race, but didn't realize that Asta was a demon because she does not have that much experience with the devils. Also, further building my point, if even the Witch Queen, who has been alive for over 100 years, made a mistake of not realizing Asta's heritage as a demon, how did Lisita know not all devils are bad without meeting a good one first? This person is somebody who has secluded herself out in the middle of nowhere and does not talk to people, does not keep up with everybody. And she's 26 years old, so she's probably been out there for a while. And the only non-devil user that we've seen who knows extensively about devils is Lola Pachica, but that's only because she has inherited collective knowledge from generations of queens before her. But with that, I rest my case. If you guys like this video, then like the video. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, then like the video a lot. Merry Christmas. I'm gonna kick it.